In 2017, Disney struck box office gold with its live-action remake of the animated classic Beauty and the Beast. The central message for this time-honored tale is simple. You can always find beauty beneath an ugly exterior. Although some high-profile real-life examples may cast some doubt, we're all familiar with the beauty is only skin-deep mantra, a concept we readily embrace when it comes to our beast of a belly, but promptly reject when it comes to our belly's feast. This double standard is having undeniable impacts. In fact, Dana Gunders with the National Resource Defense Council would say that this issue is as American as apple pie, because 1 in 5 fruits and vegetables grown in the United States for human consumption are discarded based on its aesthetic appearance alone. And that's not even the most sobering statistic. What is that the world already produces 1.5 times enough food to feed every single person on the planet. This means world hunger is not an issue of scarcity, but of food waste. Lucky for us, some new solutions are being brought to the dinner table. In a nutshell, this is an issue of beauty and the feast. The more we're concerned with beauty, the less of a feast we'll have to go around. So, let's observe the growing impacts of food waste by, first, observing how beastly this cream in the crop mentality is. Then, discover how groups are breaking the spell on grotesque foods. Before, finally, getting this ball rolling by highlighting key implications of the ugly produce movement. Because education is key if our world has any chance at a fairy tale ending. Now, in a fairy tale, one might walk up to the produce bin, pick up a piece, and squeeze it. In true fairy tale fashion, they're looking for, say, an avocado. Not too soft, not too firm, but just right. And when you multiply that routine by every shopper in America, it equates to $15 billion of unsold produce every single year. And today, the phenomenon that has been christened camera cuisine only seems to be more amplified in this Instagram era. A New York Times report reminds us that when food goes unsold, it does not just disappear. It often finds its way off of our shelves, into our trash, and then into our landfills. And that's not the only cost to society. The USDA reminds us that 31% of food goes uneaten every single year, which equates to 19% of wasted US crop plants. To visualize, that's more than all of New Mexico. Food waste also makes up 21% of added landfill content, making it the number 1 contributor by weight, adding 1,250 calories per person per day, which is half of an adult's recommended daily intake. This food waste also emits 17.2 million pounds of CO2 into our atmosphere annually. Possible solutions have been proposed, but none of them successfully address the root of the issue, the lack of education surrounding produce. Culturally, our aversion to what is unsightly makes no sense. During story time, we're told that the ugly duckling can be beautiful too, and elementary teachers urge us not to judge a book by its cover. It's a tale as old as time, yet we continue to add to the waste. That's why, in 2014, the European Union declared it the Year Against Food Waste. And French grocer Intermarché gained international attention when they unveiled a marketing campaign so brilliantly ugly, shoppers couldn't resist. Through 1-minute commercials and printed ads, they were able to introduce shoppers to a whole new cast of cast-offs from the bottom of the bin. Their temporary experiment was able to convince shoppers to buy that curvaceous cucumber and the beet with the undeniable butt, while also selling these lumpy pumpy rejects at a 30% discount. The campaign proved enormously successful when they completely sold out of all of their inglorious produce in just the first 2 days of the campaign. They were able to get rid of 1.2 tons of food that many people would not have originally purchased. Since then, the United States has jumped on this beastly bandwagon by embracing the imperfect with iron-perfect apples from Florida and some appalling potatoes known as Spuglies in Texas. Research reveals that this inglorious food doesn't just stem to boost our pocketbooks, but also our health. A 2016 NPR report stated food we consider to be visually displeasing has higher antioxidant rates than the model melon. And since we don't know if a fruit is scarred or supple before blended into a smoothie, or a vegetable, before it's chopped up into an omelet, there is no harm in giving this movement a try. Speaking of chopping things up, I've learned that to properly cut an onion is a lot harder than it looks. And this tragedy may cause national unrest, which is a mistake proponents of the ugly produce movement would avoid. That's because we would sell this inglorious food at a steep discount while, first, addressing the financial concerns of the farming industry and simultaneously increasing accessibility to healthier foods for the impoverished. This is extremely important due to the correlation between poverty and malnutrition. The Chicago Tribune on Global Affairs says malnutrition is also associated with rising healthcare costs, lack of market productivity, and stagnation in economic growth. Even more startling is that according to the United Nations, if we're able to cut our food waste by just 25%, we would have enough food to feed every single person on the planet. Period. We can supply if we change our aesthetic demands. And in a world surrounded by social media and appearance, it's clear that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. Well, lucky for us, there's hope. Because last year, one company put a uniquely American twist on the French approach to our produce predicament. The Pennsylvania-based Diefenbach's potato chips began purchasing unsightly spuds from a regional farmer at a discounted rate. They have now developed a whole line of kettle-cooked chips called Uglies, and they are the cheapest on the company's website because they're able to give savings back to the consumer. Other companies have started to take notice of the Diefenbach method and its substitutions by companies like these that could literally make a world of difference. And since we can't change the way food looks, we can change the way that we look at food. Dealing with concerns such as ending world hunger or combating malnutrition may seem like nothing more than pageant fodder. But we, as a global community, are already taking very real and tangible steps in the right direction. Conservation, sustainability, and innovation are words crucial to the survival of the farming industry. And ugly produce seems to be a way to make all of that possible. Now, it may not boost your Instagram status because an oblong orange is no belle at the ball. Still, through research and experimentation, we're able to see that ugly produce is the way of the future. And these companies believe that they can get people on board the ugly train if we can get them to put their service to the test. Seeing may be believing, but why not trust your taste buds for once? On behalf of all ugly produce manufacturers everywhere, I'm inviting you to please be our guest.